Hello everybody, Down Jay here, and we're back at it again, theory crafting, and today we are doing the Techmarine class. Now, I will have to mention that, well, I think a lot of what I'm going to say might not likely be possible, especially since there might be limitations, not only through the software of the game, but other such things. That being said, this is mainly due for fun, and honestly, I'm curious what y'all think would be an actual Techmarine class would be like in this game. That being said, I hope you all enjoy the video. Techmarines are basically the Space Marine version of a Tech Priest. We've seen them throughout the game and on the battle barge. Their duties are mainly maintaining weapons and war machine of their chapter. Though that being said, they are also capable warriors. They also are custodians of their chapter's armory and safeguard their relics. So there's possibly a lot of options of them having a extensive armory of weaponry. Now let's start talking about the Techmarine's role throughout the game. I would kind of picture him as more of a defense specialist and possibly even a pet user. Though I feel like having pets in this would have a rough time, but who knows. Said though, I can't imagine him either building structures or placing down traps or anything around the sort, while also maybe using unique weapons and possibly even having servitors and other stuff assisting him in battle. And with that, let's start talking about his passive, or potentially be his passive, the servitors. Now, I can imagine he would probably take one or two servitors with him, and they will assist him in battle by either using various tools or even weaponry. Now, let's start talking about his main abilities. First one that is up, that could be potential, is I call the Omniscire's Aegis. This will most likely boost the team's armor, something like an armor boost, but there could also be various different effects, and does not have to be potentially the whole armor boost amount. It could also be having given a certain buff, like having infinite ammo. The Techmarine could have some supportive abilities to help out his team, and I have heard many people complain about not having enough ammo to fight certain bosses. Now, next one. Now, though I will admit, this could also just be applied to Horde mode, if they ever do add that, or possibly give the chance of the Techmarine not even needing this, but I would think the next potential ability would be some form of building or some sort of a construction. I guess we can call it the Omniscire's Craft, and it will basically just be like in TF2's Engineer, where you have options of different structures to build, such as possibly turrets, beacons, or even barricades, or even mines. I think all of these would be good options of building, and I can honestly see a lot of the operations would be good places to build. Now for the last potential class ability, and probably my favorite idea out of this, but also probably least likely to happen, is we call down the Dreadnut. Yes. I just love this idea, but I know it's probably what happened, but I like the idea of possibly we summon a Dreadnut, and they will aid us in battle, or we can even possibly control the Dreadnut, though I still don't, I feel like this would most likely be the least possible out of all the abilities, but I'm actually curious on what y'all's opinion on this, and y'all would just probably think it's fun to have a fucking Dreadnought buddy, just like in the end missions. Alright, that is it for potential class abilities. Now let's go for weapons, and let's start with the primary weapons. Now, before I go further into this, I'm also kind of curious of what y'all would think about how instead of having exactly a primary weapon, but more of having your servo arms kind of shoot the weapons, either as an actual primary weapon or some sort of automated weapon, but I'm curious to what y'all think about the Servo Harness and using it as sort of a weapon. But I kind of feel it would be kind of weird, so I don't think I would consider it a possibility, so that's why I'm not including the Servo Harness kind of in this video, or at least for now. But that being said, let's start off with the first weapon, the grav gun. Now the grav gun would be like somewhat of a beam weapon, and possibly potentially like how the full tech weapon will possibly be when that comes out. But I think I'll make it a little different compared to the full tech, where I think it would be more of, it would manipulate the targets in a way such as like small enemies will be pulled towards where they're targeting, and like heavier type of enemies would be stunned. I think this would be more of a utility type weapon, but I know in lore wise that it's been known that this gun can even take out Terminator armor. Now I would also like to mention, I will also say there's a potential that the Techmarine will most likely have a Voltaic type weapon, but since they have announced that they are releasing a Voltaic weapon, I thought it would be best to at least just mention it, but not really go into too much detail about it. That also being said, secondary weapons, I can imagine just a grav version of the pistol, just as well as the Voltaic pistol with the Techmarine. And lastly but not least, let's start with the melee weapons, and we'll go with the Omnisarian Axe. This is basically a religious type weapon for the Tech Priests, and the Techmarines will also be using this sort of axe/glaive type weapon. I can imagine it being a very high damage, high cleave, but also kind of a slow attack speed. I can also imagine it maybe having a kill streak perk where it will recharge energy, or possibly recharge your class ability. Now, last but not least, let's start with the perks. Now, the perks were a little tricky for me when it came to the Techmarine, as a lot of it was mainly down to just probably stuff based on mission-wise and such, like placing turrets and such. So some of it might be a little weird, but I think I did come up with at least a few decent perks that I can see be used no matter the mission. Now, let's go with our first team perk, Resupply. This perk will mainly be trying to give your teammates ammo throughout the missions, either by going through executions or killing higher level enemies. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a cooldown for this in some cases, but I'm also curious of what y'all think, and I know a lot of people complain about not having ammo for certain types, or just being constantly just on an ammo cache. Next up, the next team perk is Machine Spirit's Blessing. I think this would be considered a buff of some kind, be it damage and defense, every time a class ability is activated. And this goes through to your whole squad, so I think this would be pretty decent. And last but not least, let's go with the last one, possibly even a signature perk, Cybernetic Enhancement. This would be a bit of a trade-off perk where you'll gain more health and possibly even more melee damage at the cost of having your class abilities cooldown increased. This is just to put more on the fact that the Tech Marines are basically Tech Priests, and there's most likely chance they'll have a lot of cybernetic and augments, and to add a bit more flavor to it, and to add also a bit trade-off. Alright everybody, this is the end of the video. I did want to add a lot more to the Techmarine, like other perks and such, but I thought it would be also a little hard, as I'm trying to consider like what the developers would have problems with and such. But that being said, this is mainly theory crafting, and I also would love to hear a lot of y'all's ideas on what a Techmarine class would be like. Now, I would also like to mention that I will possibly be streaming quite a bit, and I hope y'all would join me during those times, because I will be playing possibly not just Space Marine 2, but also Dark Tide, as I recently bought the game. And one last thing, I will be doing a librarian video, but there is a good chance that it might not come out next week, as holy crap. There's a lot with librarians, and I have no idea how I'm going to do certain things. That being said, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.